Welcome back to Gen X POV. This week's video is special. Why? Well, this week is the result of a collaboration I did with Rad Graham. Now, his information is being displayed on the screen now, and I'm also going to be linking the first part of this collaboration right here. So you got to be sure to go check that out first and go watch Rad's video to see the actual mall walkthrough and tour that we did. And then you can come back and watch this video. Yeah, I know. It's going to mess with the algorithm, but that's okay. Algorithm be damned. You got to go watch the first half before you watch the second half. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different than the normal content you see here, and it's going to be quite longer, so fair warning. But this is more of a podcast interview style video that we shot after we did the mall walkthrough and had a really nice dinner that night, actually. So I can't thank Rad enough for taking time out of his very busy schedule the weekend that he was here in order to do this. So please be sure, if you haven't already, go check out part 1. Subscribe to his channel because he gives really, really good insight on a lot of Gen X nostalgia. And with that, I'm going to let the rest of the video speak for itself. And as always, I'll see you in the comment section. I'm a 75 model Gen X, and that means I grew up in the 80s where whatever mall you went to kind of dictated the crowd that you associated with. I'm sure you know it just as well as I do that if you went to your mall, you had people that knew who you were and welcomed you with open arms. But if you went to a mall that you didn't frequent, it was like alien landscapes. So today, I'm going to be taking you on a tour of a local mall that honestly, I've never been to before. I have lived here for over 30 years, and in this particular mall, I have not stepped foot until today. I enlisted the help of somebody who I've spoke about a lot on this channel, and he was kind enough to come down. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I give you Rad. How's it going, Rad?
It is going wonderful, and I appreciate that amazing introduction. Just for the record, I did not hold his hand the whole time. So that...
It was not my hand he held.
Well, agree to disagree. Yeah.
We've been having way too much fun, as you can tell, in this...
With no alcohol. No alcohol.
No alcohol, and we're sharing a microphone because we really didn't think this through.
No, but yeah.
So the reason why I wanted you to help me navigate this mall is because this is really kind of your bailiwick. This is your area of expertise. You've had on your channel a few different videos where you talk about malls. And what is it for you about malls that you're so nostalgic for?
It just makes me feel young. I mean, when we get to a certain age, I'm going on 51, and I had the greatest time at the malls. I mean, when you grow up Gen X, that was the spot. That's where you hung out with. And I know I've seen a lot of nostalgia videos, or I've seen a lot of videos lately where they talk about the psychology of nostalgia. Have you been seeing any of those where they pop up and they explain to you like we have a problem because we like nostalgia, that we're living in the past?
No, I haven't seen any of those yet.
They're starting to break it down as if we're weird now because we focus so much on the past. Now, I focus a lot on the future. I focus a lot on the now. But, you go to yoga. People go to yoga. They go to Pilates, which I think is stupid. But I go to a mall and I'm in my zen, right? I like to go to it. And so it just makes me feel better. Number one, you get to walk. And now we're those old people that are walking. We're doing laps around the mall. I mean, I'm not that far away from it. I might as well just get me some joggers and do my little speed walk, through the mall.
Can I call you out about the FP that you wore slung around your chest the whole time?
Oh, my fanny pack? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he actually had. So if you were to imagine, look, I'm just going to say it. Nobody fought harder against the wind than Gen X. When you look at the pictures of all the windbreakers we used to have, nobody fought harder against the wind in the 80s. And we thought it was going to be a much bigger problem than what it proved to be. But those windbreakers came pretty much standard issue with a fanny pack. And this guy right here, he was going full bore fanny pack.
Yeah. Now, I'm doing it cooler, so shout out to my son Roth at Roth G Films. So you throw it across the chest now, right? Truth be told is I've gotten a little chunky around the waist, so it doesn't click in place as easy anymore without exposing my love handles, which, you know, I have an ego, so I don't like that. So across the chest, I look like I was a European. I think I look pretty cool. You know, rocking my K-Swiss, my vintage K-Swiss, with my Quicksilver fanny pack. I loved it.
And Stussy hat.
Stussy.
Stussy.
Sean
That's
Stussy.
what I said.
Sean Stussy.
Sean Stussy. Yes. Well.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. The funny thing is try to put this into words that make sense, is he's never been to that mall before, and I'm up here for business, and every time I say that, I remember Ted.
I wonder who's gonna hit first.
So if I told him once, I told him a million times. These numbers do not add up.
Who did this to us? Damn it, I'm here on business!
Oh.
There's all of these different entrances to the mall that the Google Maps was showing, that the east gate, the north gate, and all this stuff. So the Uber driver, he's like, you want to get dropped off here? I said, yeah, just drop me off right here. So I get out of the car, he leaves, and I turn around, and I'm standing in front of the Dillard's door, and I look across the parking lot, and I see a Hilton Home 2 Suites, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've literally been here before. So a few years ago, when I brought the family up to see the National Video Game Museum that's in the Dallas Metroplex, and he's never been, by the way, and I'm just like, holy crap, I've been here. We stayed there, and of course, you know, I love malls, right? At this point of the video. So I look out and I tell my wife, I was like, there's a mall. Yeah. There's a mall across the parking lot. And we all walked across the parking lot and winded up going in through the same door that I was standing in front of that the Uber driver dropped me off. It was just surreal. Like, yeah, it's like, so I'm like, dude, I've literally been to this mall before. But I didn't spend too long, because if you watch my other videos, I like to go to the van store. I like to walk around. So we went to the van store, bought some really badass vans.
We have footage of that. We have footage of the van store.
Yes, and so this time we actually got to walk around the mall and go upstairs and do all that stuff. So anyway, it's just a real interesting moment in time to realize that, you know, what was that phrase? You forget more than you remember.
I don't know. I forgot. The funny thing is, though, and we noticed this as we were walking through, a lot of the stores that we grew up with are still there.
Yeah.
Like the van store, and then we saw
Journeys,
and we saw
Great American Cookie Company.
Yeah, and then also what was the other one? Spencer's. We went into Spencer's and we were like, "Can we film in here?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And then we were like, "We probably shouldn't film this section of the store," so we turned the cameras off.
Sure enough, I was like, "Where are the edible panties?" And they're in the same corner of the store that they always seem to be at when you were a kid. I mean, because when you're like a 10-year-old and you go into a Spencer's,
I wasn't allowed to go in Spencer's at 10. That was when I was like 13 and going in.
Well, you know, that was like a sex shop when you were, you know.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you probably can't say that on YouTube because they're going to put those two words together and.
We'll edit it.
Yeah,
I'll edit it out.
Yeah. So
I can't take this guy anywhere.
But so yeah, they virtually look the same, except, you know, the kids, you know, look a lot different now. The mannequins were differently shaped this time too. I noticed it was very odd mannequins in the windows.
Now we're not going to shame anyone because we're definitely not at our fighting weights currently. But it was something that was a very interesting observation, that the mannequins no longer look the way they did in the 80s, that they are, let's put it this way, the mannequins are no longer at their fighting weight either.
Apparently, from what we heard, there was a coalition of the Mannequin Association where they were upset over their depiction in the windows, and we're like, it's not diverse enough, and we need a more diverse plethora of mannequins to show all shapes and sizes. It's a union, I think. The mannequin union.
We have to be diverse about mannequins. Yeah. I remember the movie Mannequin. You remember that movie, Mannequin?
Too. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there were some mannequins in that show that didn't even have a damn head.
That's correct.
And when I was growing up, there were times where I'd go and it wouldn't even be like your traditional mannequin. It would be like they took tubing and shaped it to look like a hollow gingerbread man. Remember those?
Yeah.
And then you'd have like this tubular head you'd see through with a t-shirt on. Usually an Ocean Pacific shirt.
Yeah. I love that movie. I mean, think about that. Wouldn't that be a cool job? The dude that got to do the windows and the mannequins?
No.
No? You don't think that'd be like if you got paid a living wage to go what was it? It wasn't Bloomingdale's. What was the store that they worked at in that movie?
Maybe it was Bloomingdale's. I don't know. It was a big department. It was a box department store.
If you know for sure, drop a comment.
Drop a comment below as to what store they worked at. Was his name? The character's name was Jonathan. Wasn't that it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. See, my daughter, Carolyn. You've seen her. She loves that movie. She loves Hollywood. Everyone loves Hollywood.
Well, I love Kim Cattrall, and I love
Kim
her
Cattrall
even
did
more
look good.
in Porky's. Yeah. Lassie was her name. That wasn't her real name, but that's what they called her.
Lassie.
Lassie. And if you don't know why they called her Lassie, you need to watch the movie.
I don't know why. I don't think I ever
Really?
got to watch Porky's growing up because I lived a sheltered life. Graham.
Yeah, I watched the movies. I probably shouldn't have, but it's a great movie. It's an 80s movie, but it takes place in the 50s, I think. But yeah.
Okay. What else is there to say about malls?
Well, we are now the weird, creepy men that are in the malls that the younger people, mainly the girls, are looking at.
Yes.
Because we've got high-dollar camera equipment, and the looks that we got sometimes was just like, yeah, it
hurt my soul. I'm not going to lie. It kind of hurt my soul because at one point we were filming. I don't know if you got footage of it or if I did. I'll have to look back and see. If one of us captured footage of it, I'll share it. But there were these two girls in particular. Are those the ones you're thinking of?
yeah.
That walked past, and when they walked past, they were just like looking, and we got the, and I was like, the fuck was that? I was like, what was the for? I'm like, I didn't crop dust you. I didn't.
No.
And it was
I mean,
just,
it's not like they invented the damn cameras that we're holding in our hand. See, when we were growing up, a lot of the stuff that we had was invented by boomers. But now I can honestly say that the stuff that we're holding in our hands that they're using on their phones was invented by Gen X.
That's true. I'm pretty sure they were going because of his fanny pack. Just putting that out there.
And it's a Manny pack, by the way.
It's a Manny pack.
Manny pack. Manny pack.
Is that what you still call it when you sling it over?
You know, the kids call it something, I don't know what it is, but they call it cool no matter what. That's still a word.
That's a pet peeve of mine. I need to do like a stream where we talk about pet peeves because there's all these slang words that people make up, especially the younger generations, that are like completely made up words. They have no real anything, and it means something to them. Or they'll use a word that doesn't. I mean, we would do cool. That stuck around, right? And what you were doing that one time, right? Didn't you do a video where you were talking about slang words?
Well, I was wanting to, but you know, like no cap. That means,
no cap.
That means don't lie, and I'm like, just say don't lie.
Right.
You know.
I actually had to look that one up. I had looked up the no cap because I saw it in a video where they said stop the cap.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
I've officially reached that age where I don't know the slang.
Well, the funniest the funniest way of not knowing a slang word is when, you know, we know one of our bartenders that my wife and I go to, and she texts my wife to say, you need to stop in tonight so I can talk to you about the tea. I'm like, that's weird. We don't drink iced tea there. We drink Michelob Ultra or Yingling. So I'm like, hey, let's go see her. So then we go there and we're like, hey, why are you wanting us to drink tea? And she's like, oh my God. She's like, the chisme. I mean, we live in Texas. The chisme, you know, that's talking shit, like the gossip. But now they call it the tea.
Yeah, that I actually knew. That I actually knew because of my girls. So the older girls, the first batch that I raised, because I'm on my second batch, the first batch, they would talk about tea because of Jeffree Star. And Jeffree Star would be like, the tea. He's this, he does makeup. He makes his own makeup palettes and stuff. And he blew up he's a self-made guy. I actually respect him a lot.
Instagram, I think.
He's on Instagram, YouTube, and he made a fortune doing these makeup palettes, and it's his own colors, and he like got to where he was and his stuff would sell out. Like he would launch a new palette and it would sell out in minutes that day.
So what does tea mean? What's it short for?
Gossip.
No, but there's no tea in gossip.
Well, you know how whenever but I think where it stems from, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Totally Bartles and James right now.
Right.
Like, we're those
but I
dudes
think
sitting on the
shut
front
up.
porch.
I think where it comes from is that we are on the. It does look like we're between two ferns.
Yeah.
But where the spill the tea comes from, it's like, you remember how back in the old days they would sit down at tea time and they would discuss the news and events of the day, and the women would sit down and talk about their socialite friends and what they were or were not doing and who they were doing it with and who they were not doing it with. I think that's where the whole spill the tea came from, because they would talk about those things while having tea.
And then Gen X changed it to shoot the shit, which I think is better than
Shoot
tea.
the shit.
Yeah.
Or just gossip.
Well, the girls called it gossip. I don't think guys called it gossip.
No, because guys didn't consider it gossiping. We just considered it, hey, did you hear what dipshit did? And then we...
A few moments later.
Vision Quest. Dude.
A few more moments later.
Wash your face before practice. Remember that from Vision Quest when he was like, that is a good Matthew
I have the
Modine.
soundtrack on cassette.
That's a great soundtrack. Holy crap. Yeah. I'm not a big Madonna fan anymore, but Lunatic Fringe and Crazy for You and isn't When the Bullet Hits the Bone, isn't that on there?
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that is Red
Rider.
Red Rider.
Yeah.
There you go.
Red Rider.
So yeah, I mean the malls, like I said, we walked around, and this isn't a dead mall.
No. I was actually surprised.
Yeah, it's a very when you get to Dallas and you get to Houston, and they have the malls like that, they're very, very vibrant. And I would have to say, like, I did a video on my channel about how Gen Z may actually save the mall, and it got mixed reviews. Right, most was positive. So I would have to say there was a lot of Gen Z there.
Yeah, we were outnumbered.
Really
I honestly was surprised because I just didn't think that people hung out at the younger generations hung out at malls.
And it's a Friday.
And it was a Friday night.
Spending their Friday night going to the mall.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because they're all in the know, and we're sitting there, and he's got his camera, and I've got my new DJI Osmo 3. And he's
just rubbing that in. He's just rubbing it in.
But they were all walking by, like checking out our camera gear, you know.
They were.
And I think, it was cool as long as we were sitting there and it wasn't working. But then when we were using it walking through the malls, when we got
and then I had one person actually duck under the shot. Did you see that?
Nice of them.
It was a kid. But it was when I say a kid, I mean, it was like this 10-year-old, 13-year-old kid. It wasn't the older heifers that sided us. It was just this little kid, and he was really cool because he didn't want to screw up the shot. So at least we have that. At least there is some hope for the future where they actually have some semblance of etiquette and are polite, and we're like, you know what? You're doing your thing, and I'm not going to mess with you. I'm going to do this. So mad props for that kid who ducked.
because we're honestly still getting over doing public video.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a little, and I think that's the Gen X in us. It's a little weird because I know Roth, he doesn't have a problem, and I don't like it. I don't like when people are video chatting on their phone at the grocery store.
That drives me nuts too.
Just take it off, put it to your ear. I don't want to hear your conversation.
Yep.
But they're totally okay with that now, and I noticed a lot of older people doing that. And in Texas, I have to say it's the I won't say that. It's a certain group of people that talk on their phones very loudly, and it's very normal here.
It is.
But
it's been normalized, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I just we're not to that point yet where we felt honestly really comfortable. And we just started doing it though, and I think that's what started getting us the looks. Like now all of a sudden we're the weird dorks because we're talking to a screen, but when they do it, it's okay.
Yeah, and there were some people actually that I was surprised that just looked like it was normal, and they're just like, "What's up?" Gave you that nod, was like, "Hey, cool," you know. But here's another thing. This is the insight that I have about Gen X as to why I think we're just not as comfortable with being so overt with recording ourselves in public. Is the fact that a lot of the stuff we did as kids, we were very covert. Yeah. I've talked about this before on the channel. It's like there's not very many videos or audio recordings of Gen X doing the things that we know we shouldn't have been doing, but we did anyway. We were smart enough not to record ourselves doing that. Not to say we didn't have the technology. We absolutely did. But the most we would do, or the most we would allow, would be like a Polaroid or a 35 millimeter camera shot of the activities before we actually really went and did the stuff that we were going to do. And then if by some chance somebody was dumb enough to capture a picture of said party or event or whatever it is we were up to that we shouldn't have been, those pictures were very, very, very well guarded. So
plausible deniability
was definitely a thing. And so I think that as Gen X, it's just kind of ingrained in us that if we're out and about and we're doing something, we almost want to be covert about it all the time. I mean, we grew up in the Cold War, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it is. But I you know, no lie, right? No lie.
Stop the cap.
When people were walking by, I wanted to do what we used to do, and I wanted to just like shoulder check him to where then he would fly into the people walking that way. I mean, you know, a lot of y'all did that, but we would do it with chicks walking by.
We did. He literally was saying that he was going to do that. He was going to wait until like some hot girl walked by, and I was like, my wife's not here. But he was like, yeah, I'm going to bump you in a girl. Remember we used to do that? And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it seems like when you and I either talk on the phone and now in person, I think we revert back to our 13-year-old versions of ourselves.
Yeah, well, why not? Why not? I mean, I was even going to buy a Slurpee and then try to dump it on somebody's head below like they did in Weird Science, but he told me I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't have bail money yet.
Well,
I've only got one YouTube check.
Some weird shake with strawberries in it. I mean, it wasn't even a Slurpee anymore, so.
I think between the two of us, we each have gotten one YouTube check at this point.
Yes.
And they're not bail money worthy yet, especially in Dallas.
No, it would take.
We couldn't even bond out with what we've made in YouTube money yet. So, no.
Yeah, we need YouTube money. You know, I've got camera equipment to pay for. You see, it used to be, I've got kids to pay for. Now it's, I got camera equipment.
We got hobbies to pay for.
Exactly.
And we got people who are relying on us for stuff like this, though I don't know why.
Shenanigans.
But thank you. I literally was wearing my Shenanigans supervisor shirt yesterday.
What's the supervisor part? Is that a brand?
Well, no, it's a grunt style shirt.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a picture of it.
Maybe you used to work at Shenanigans and you're a supervisor.
No, I ordered some new grunt style shirts. This is one of them because I like it.
I don't even know if Shenanigans is a real restaurant. I'm just referring to the movie with buffering. The movie with Ryan Reynolds where they work in the restaurant.
Bennigan's? What?
No,
I don't.
No, what was the name of the movie?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Really, really crazy movie. They drop the food on the floor. You know, those of you that know the Batwing, you know what movie I'm talking about. No?
You know, I thought I was good with movies, but he's got me beat.
Oh, Waiting. It's called Waiting.
Oh, I know that movie. Okay, yeah.
At a restaurant called Shenanigans.
Shenanigans, yeah, because it was supposed to be their play on Bennigan's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the outfits were the same. Almost. I think the colors were different.
Yeah.
I think they did like green and Bennigan's was like red.
Or it might have been TGI Fridays. I don't know.
TGI Fridays is red one.
With Tom Cruise when he first learned it was in a
That was in a TGI Fridays.
The red and white.
The red and white, and then they went to what was it, the Cell Block or something like that, and that's where he got in the fight with Brian.
Yeah.
Because he made a move on Coral.
Hey.
There's nothing inanimate about Coral.
He proved his point.
He did prove his, but he had a bet to win.
So drop a comment below. So like how if you've seen my videos, I'm a team Johnny Lawrence, right? Not Daniel LaRusso. But on the movie Cocktail, when he slept with Tom Cruise's girlfriend,
Coral,
I think he did it as a favor. Like he proved to him, this is not the girl that you think she is. And so he did him a favor. So I don't know. What do you think?
What do I think, or what do they think?
Well, what do you think and what do they think?
I think you're right. I think you're totally right. And I think that is like classic Gen X, because if you notice in that movie, even though that happened, it took place, they were still bros.
Yeah.
Afterwards, even though they had a falling out and stuff, when Brian showed up in Kokomo
with his
hot wife, who was crazy as hell, but
she was originally in Roadhouse. That was Patrick Swayze's chick in Roadhouse.
Yeah, she was the doctor.
Yeah.
She was the doctor who stitched him up. Pain don't hurt. We are totally going off the rail as far as movie quotes go, and we're supposed to be talking about malls. But in Cocktail, when Brian showed up and was at the bar, and then when Tom Cruise character, what was his name? What was Tom Cruise's character? I can't think of it either. But
Flanagan. His last name was Flanagan. Brian Flanagan.
Okay, he was Brian. So then who was
the actor's real name? Was Brian that played?
But what was the character? What was
Coughlin's Law?
Coughlin. Okay, yeah. Coughlin. Sorry. So when Coughlin shows up, Doug. Right. It was Doug Coughlin. Yeah. So when Doug shows up and Brian hears his voice, he just kind of slouches.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you doing here?" They were still bro. Even after all that history, water under the bridge, they were still able to be friends afterwards, and he brought him in, and they were. I think that's the difference, right?
That would totally be a dream job for me now.
Be a bartender?
Me and my wife moved down to Jamaica because she was a bartender, and just like have a little shack on the beach and bartend, pull our tips. I think that'd be the life.
I, on the other hand, would not like that because I don't like hot weather. I prefer cold.
I would have to have air conditioning. Yeah. I would have to have a split unit.
Yeah. So all of this is to say that malls will always hold a special place in Gen X heart, for sure. But it seems that based off of what we've seen tonight, especially in the Dallas area, and I probably would assume in metropolitan areas across the United States and elsewhere, that, maybe maybe the younger generation actually is not so plugged in as we assume they are, and maybe they're actually craving that human interaction. Because I will say this, as we were walking the mall, when we saw Gen Zs and millennials walking, they were actually talking to each other. Yeah. They weren't on their phones. They weren't even in like the Starbucks where we grabbed a coffee or where we were walking down to other shops. They were actually interacting, and it felt like back in the day where like you put your phone away and you just talked to the person or the people you were with.
They were all dressed up. The guys, as they say, their fit was nice, and they were dressed up like you could tell they were going there to try to, get some digits.
Yeah, they were going there with a purpose, and they were actually putting effort into it. And it was actually, I honestly thought we were going to go to the mall and it was going to be a ghost town. Yeah. And I was really surprised. And I'm actually kind of happy about it.
Very happy. As I'm saying, it's, we give Gen Z a lot of shit, but, You know, they are starting to, just based on this data, they are starting to crave that social interaction. They're starting to put the phones down and learning to be social again.
Yeah, I mean, social media, the whole point of it was to help you be social, right? And to help coordinate those social activities. It wasn't meant to, once you coordinated those activities and then you showed up at said place or event or whatever you were doing, to then be on your device the whole time. You know, you're supposed to put down the device and maybe snap 1 or 2 pictures, but not be filming the whole thing and doing, you know, which is kind of hypocritical. We're saying filming the whole thing, and that's literally what we were doing. But this is for science.
Yes.
This is for science. He said, this scientific evidence that we captured and are sharing here with you.
Always trust the science.
Always trust the. Why can't you just trust the science?
Yeah. We're doing this for the future.
We are.
We're doing this for the children.
100 years from now, somebody somewhere is going to watch this video, and they're going to hear about this mall that we went to, and they're going to look to see if it's still there, and maybe on their holographic device that they have then, or their Google glasses or whatever,
Telepathy, they don't
or maybe it's implanted. Maybe by then Tesla has the chips perfected to where it's all just plugged in, and we're
you think you're at the mall
in the Matrix, and you think you're at the mall. Or you could just be like, I want to be at the Mall of America in whatever, and boom, you're there. I don't know where this is going.
I think we need to land this plane.
So I think it's very possible that Gen Z and millennials might actually keep a very important part of our history alive and well. And from what we saw tonight, I think they might actually be really good stewards of it.
Yeah, even though now the torch or the baton has been passed to where now we are the old, uncool, old people that are there, it still puts a smile on my heart to see them utilizing that space to do what we did.
Yeah, it's almost like I was happy for them because I could see them interacting and the guys checking out the girls who are walking down and the girls checking out the guys. And it's like we remembered that feeling of being at the mall and seeing that and thinking we were just the end all be all, that we were just the kings of the world, literally. And I was happy for them that they were actually having those experiences. So, yeah, it was really good to go and do that and hang out with this guy. And I thank you for showing up and for being my Sherpa on this adventure.
I was your mall wingman.
He was my wall. He was
Wall wingman.
my wall wingman. Mall wingman.
Yes, I was glad that I was his mall wingman.
The mall wingman. Say that 5 times fast. Yes. All right. As always, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Don't forget to go check out Graham's video that have been linked throughout this video, I'm sure. And as always, I'll see you in the comment section.
I'll see you on the next video.
It's the comment section. Comment section's where it's at, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, you say the next video. You don't live in your comment section enough, man.
I don't.
That's the you in YouTube, man. Brings a tear to my eye.
Stop the cap.